Welcome to But Frankly Pierce News. I'm Arthur Fairview. Here's what we're facing. With all of the news flooding us from Putin's invasion of Ukraine, we are losing sight of so many other issues. The confirmation hearings of Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, the continuing investigation of the January 6th committee, and the current state of the pandemic, to name a few.
Pandemic?
I thought we were in a relaxed period where the mandates have all ended.
Exactly, but who could forget what happened at the end of January in Ottawa? Truckers blocking access to major roads and bridges and slowing down the already struggling supply chains to protest vaccines and mask mandates in Canada.
Canada?
Seriously?
Well, after a time, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau handled that and got things opened up again. But someone thought it might be a good idea to bring that to the US. Thus, the inevitable afterbirth of the Freedom Convoy. It is what Rolling Stone calls the right wing's next big thing, a heavy metal show of power aimed at the nation's capital itself in service of a nebulous set of goals that wrap executive powers, state and federal coronavirus protections, fringe conspiracies, and general government skepticism into a catch-all movement for anyone who thinks Joe Biden is taking our country down an insufficiently star-spangled path.
Oh, you mean these guys?
Yep.
Freedom Convoy was set to roll into DC in time for the President's State of the Union address, but came up short. But they have been circling the Beltway, making a minor nuisance of themselves, blocking traffic, slowing things down. But the convoy got a taste of its own medicine recently when a lone DC bicyclist slowed the convoy to a snail's pace. A convoy live streamer and YouTuber called WYSIWYK yelled at the unidentified cyclist while confronting him.
Hey, what are you doing? You got a bunch of trucks behind you. You got a bunch of trucks behind you. What? You got a bunch of trucks behind you. Oh, it's too loud, huh? Okay.
Don't mess with a cyclist.
Next, Americans are having to pay more for, well, everything. The dollar seems not to be buying as much as it once did. We are paying more at the pump, at the store, online. Pretty much everything is more expensive these days. Is it the supply chain issues caused by the pandemic? Can it be the repercussions of Putin's attack on Ukraine? Is it from stock market speculation on what might happen in the near future? You can choose what or who is to blame, but
Blame is better to give than receive.
pick your poison, but it is a combination of factors that all point to one thing: inflation. But what is inflation and why does it affect the economy in this way? To get some answers, we go to consultant Jenna Tools from Up and Up. Thanks for joining us, Jenna.
Thanks for having me.
So, what is inflation?
This is a really big deal, a subject only for those with a passion for the science behind it.
Really, there's a science to this.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime you are looking at a result, we need to back it up to the cause.
Okay, cause and effect. I'm with you.
Exactly. There's a reason for everything. And one small thing that happens can create a chain reaction that can affect many things. At an extreme level, we look at the butterfly effect.
Butterfly effect?
Yes, it is part of chaos theory. The butterfly effect is the sensitive dependence on initial conditions in which a small change in one state of a deterministic nonlinear system can result in large differences in a later state.
Well, okay, sorry. You lost me there.
To simplify, if I may, a butterfly in one part of the world flaps its wings, and a hurricane happens in another part of the world.
Something that small can cause a storm to erupt?
That is the theory. The flapping of a butterfly's wings could create tiny changes in the atmosphere that lead to violent weather conditions elsewhere on the planet.
I see. That's the butterfly effect. Okay, I got it.
So we need to look at the conditions that are affecting this from a scientific approach. There are two practical theories on how inflation can happen, and a large part of that is based on pressure.
Pressure. Well, we've all been experiencing plenty of that.
So we need to look at the variables at hand. For instance, are we using tanks, or human resources.
Tanks? So you're thinking a major cause is the war in Ukraine?
No, not at all. When it comes to inflation, the rate is key. Too much flow too fast can cause catastrophic results. We recommend stretching your resources to ease inflation. If you don't have a tank, you can pinch the neck and use air from your lungs. Of course, a helium tank is a bit easier and will provide the benefit of lift to your balloons. But don't start inflating them too early or they will fall to the ground before the event or party even starts.
We're not talking about inflating party balloons. We're asking about inflation and the effect on the economy today.
Oh. I don't know anything about that. Sorry.
Where do you find these people?
Hang on. We're getting someone else.
An expert this time?
Yes, cut to commercial break.
We'll be right back. Don't go away.
It's nothing fancy. It's what you crave. Beer. Now also in light.
Still so much to get to. Thanks for sticking with us. We turn now to inflation expert Philip McCracken.
Pleasure to be here, Arthur.
So Phil, can you explain to our audience the cause of this inflation?
Of course I can. What do I look like, a daft whopper?
So
So you need to be looking at the beginning. This inflation won't happen on its own.
right, we need to understand the causes.
Right you are, you howly roaster. Now, you have to get the right conditions in play or she'll never get off the ground.
Wait, are you talking about
Inflation, you daft minger. That's what we're talking about. So to begin with, conditions need to be flat. You need to start cool before you move on to the heat.
heat? Wait. Do you mean to
Stop interrupting, you ignoramus, or we'll never get this balloon off the ground.
All right, okay, stop. Isn't there anyone who can tell me what inflation is?
I know what inflation is, Arthur Fairview. Lights, please. According to Webster's Dictionary, inflation in economic terms is an increase in the amount of currency in circulation, resulting in a relatively sharp and sudden fall in its value, and a rise in prices or a relative increase in expenditures as when the supply of goods fails to meet the demand. That's what inflation is, Arthur Fairview.
Thank you.
Don't mention it.
What's a dictionary?
Moving on. The continued conflict in Ukraine is something that cannot be ignored. We reported last time that all independent Russian news organizations were shut down with a new propaganda law that will imprison anyone who speaks out about the invasion. Just referring to it as an invasion or a war guarantees a 15-year mandatory sentence. Other world news organizations such as the BBC and Bloomberg said their correspondents could no longer freely report because of the new censorship law signed by Vladimir Putin. CNN International, ABC News are among many others who have ceased operations in the country.
Well, where are the people getting their information?
The only source of information is the state-run news outlets.
So only the finest quality propaganda from Putin and the Duma.
It's like having to rely solely on Fox News for everything.
Now hackers are finding ways of spreading the word. Several different hackers have breached state news agencies, as well as the Russian Roskomnadzor. Now the hacker group Anonymous has hacked streaming services and TV news channels in Russia to broadcast footage of the war with Ukraine.
Офицеры говорят.
Стал так. 11:42, 28 число. Вот так примерно выглядит русский мир.
The group considered it the biggest anonymous op ever seen, hacking Russian news channels like Russia 24, Channel 1 and Moscow 24, including streaming sites. The footage showed a message at the end stating that ordinary Russians are against the war and calling on Russians to oppose the attack on Ukraine.
Greetings, citizens of Russia. We are anonymous. You are being trapped behind an iron curtain of propaganda, with your government attempting to keep you from being a part of the international conversation, out of fear for what you might find out. Many of you may not even know the true reason behind the recent bank runs and economic problems being faced in your country. We have received reports that global events have been getting very little airtime on Russian media, despite the fact that Russia is at the center of a global crisis. The regime of Vladimir Putin has been carrying out war crimes with his recent invasion of Ukraine, which has caused a massive refugee crisis and countless deaths. We see that many of you have protested against the war and resisted in various other ways, risking over a decade in prison, or worse, if you are caught. Most people in the world want peace. The only people who want war are those with power who are able to benefit from it. Other countries around the world are waging economic warfare on Russia to prevent Putin's regime from succeeding in Ukraine, and it is only going to get worse from here. At this point, the most peaceful way that this conflict could end, would be for the people of Russia to rise up against Putin and remove him from power. We have your back, and we will be providing cyber assistance throughout the struggle. We are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us.
Many have taken up that charge and are finding ways of attempting to bring the truth of this war to the Russian people, despite the censorship. Restaurant reviews on Google and TripAdvisor started providing information as a way of warning people not to believe Putin's propaganda, sneaking it in under the radar as a restaurant review. As a result, TripAdvisor and Google have begun deleting those reviews.
Why?
Maybe Putin's people got to them too?
TripAdvisor makes most of its revenue from commissions on hotel bookings and reserves the right to remove a review at any time for any reason.
Channel 1, a state-run Russian TV news organization,
You mean propaganda puppet?
was protested by one of its own. Take a look at this.
This is Channel 1, a Russian state-run network, and the brave woman holding the sign is Marina Ovsyankova. It reads, "No war, stop the war. Don't believe the propaganda. They're lying to you here."
Brilliant.
Marina Ovsyankova, a Channel 1 editor, said in an interview with CNN that she had been feeling a cognitive dissonance more and more between her beliefs and what was being said on air. The war was a point of no return, and it was simply impossible to stay silent. The next day, Ovsyankova was found guilty by district court in Moscow of organizing an unauthorized public event. The administrative offense carries a fine of 30,000 rubles.
With all the sanctions in place and the value of the ruble in free fall, how much is that in dollars?
About $280.37.
Arthur, you can swing that, right?
Right. I'll start a GoFundMe. Finally, the Russian invasion of Ukraine has many repercussions around the globe. Yes, we complain about the price of gas and other consumables, but that is nothing compared to the atrocities the Ukrainian people are dealing with. However, the latest pain comes in the form of an alcohol protest. Many Russian staples are no longer able to be imported or are even being offered at many restaurants or bars.
Another Caucasian, Gary.
Right, dude.
The Moscow Mule and the White Russian, for example, are quite difficult to find right now.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
But the word on the street is you can get a bootleg version of the dude's favorite beverage in Florida. Just ask for a white supremacist at Mar-a-Lago.
Jesus.
You said it, man.
This has been But Frankly Pierce News. Thanks for watching. I'm Arthur Fairview. Up and down the city road. In and out the Eagle. That's the way the money goes. Pop goes the weasel.
Yeah. Thank you.